the time. Okay, we are going to hear from Hannah tonight, and I'm really excited to hear about this because she has had really great growth on her team and she's managing all the things. Like I have from the time I've met Hannah, I've loved her boundaries she has with her family and her business. And it's something that I've like tried to bring into my business also. So anyway, I'm excited for you, us to hear from Hannah. But Hannah, you can take it away whenever you're ready.
Hi, everyone. So I am on my own right now. 4 kids are watching a show. Guarantee Ruby's going to join me in the next few minutes. So just bear with me. But I'm excited to share just a little bit about where I'm at, where I've been, and just kind of when I was thinking about how I was going to share tonight, I wanted to recap a little bit because Emily had said, like, share something about your journey in like the last 7 years, because I've been here for 7 years. So sharpening your why, that's what it was. And a couple things that came to mind as I was reflecting was I saw a pattern in my years over the years. And that has been a season that, well, first I was a slow starter. So we'll start there. And I'm just a slow mover. But then I got a glimpse of what it was like with what network marketing is and the possibility here. And so then there was that like excitement and energy that comes with your business. And that's where I went to senior gold in, I don't know, within the first year. I think it was like 6 months after I had started sharing. And then I went slow, like steady. I'm going to say, so slow, then steady, and then went slow. And then there was a fire lit. And then I feel like it was steady and then slow. And then a fire was lit. And so as I like reflected on the years that I've been here, that's what I'd seen, like this pattern. And so I'm going to dissect that a little bit. And through those different seasons and like what I'm learning, and hopefully you guys will be encouraged at some point wherever you are in your journey. So I think when I have been steady, when I reflect on those times where I was like senior gold for, I think it was like 15 months before I ranked Ruby. And, or like I've been Sapphire for 3 years now. And so there's been seasons in there where I'm just like, what that looks like is just the management and being comfortable with where you're at. And so, and I think there's a time where that like is just going to happen, but there is a choice on like, if you choose to stay there, which will ultimately lead to like a fade out or a deliberate change and shift into like what it is you're doing and how you're working and how you're showing up and the reflection that takes place. And so, and I'm going to dive into that a little more, but then also like those slow seasons, which inevitably will follow a season of management mode and sitting in comfort, where then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow, like things are really slow. And it's like, well, we get to be our own rock star in this business, right? Like people, like things don't move if you're not moving. And so then there's like, at least for me, there's this time that comes with like reflection and evaluation on like, well, what I've just been going through the motions, right? And so we don't want to be working our business going through the motions and checking the boxes. And so then there's another season of like the fire that's lit in you, which is where you are like coming from a place of purpose and passion and energy and drive and dreaming and like all the things that are like when you're riding that wave. And so I feel like I'm going to start there. When you're in a place of like being on fire, awesome. Run with that, ride it as long as you can. And just like, we're going to celebrate you. And that also, I feel like when you're in that place, you have a clear focus on where you're going, which I think is that vision piece. And then you're also being willing to do the action. And so I feel like that's a really key component for me as well. And then following it by like, obviously the discipline that you're not just sitting in comfortable. So I'm not sure if hopefully this will all tie up and make sense. But so I want you to ask yourself, what season or like what place are you in? Are you steady? Are you slow? Are you on fire? And kind of recognize where you're at. And so, like I said, if you're on fire, good for you. Stay strong, run with it. If you are steady or slow, I have some words of encouragement for you and reflection, because I'm really big on that. Come here she is, you guys. I told you she was gonna find me. Say hi, baby. So then what I want you to do is to deep dive and uncover why it is you're sitting there. Like, have you been complacent? Yeah. Have you been comfortable? You're choosing comfort. Now go be quiet. And I feel like that is when you start to recognize, like, we were sitting in, you get to choose your hard, right? You hear that all the time, where it's like, well, it's hard staying in debt. It's hard working a job that doesn't light you up, and you have to go clock in or leave your family, right? Like, that's all hard. It's also hard to stay focused in your business and plan your posts or wake up early or whatever those trade-offs are that look like to run your business well. And so I think when you recognize that, like, wow, well, is it harder to really plan? Because I know that's something that like sits in my way a lot of times. Or is it harder to have this weight of debt? And so you like recognize that, and then you get uncomfortable in being motivated by wanting to change things for your family, and like allowing that shift to take place of like, well, I don't want my life to look like it is anymore. And so I'm going to do the hard things to go make it a change. So then what else do I have on here? Ultimately, this is what I wanted to share too. When I look back and I see myself in a place where like I have just been coasting or not like going my full potential, I feel like I'm missing a piece. But if I'm like operating my business and I'm showing up, I feel like there's this domino effect of like living my life at a higher level, higher caliber. Does anyone else like recognize that? Like, if you are showing up and you are just like having disciplines that overflow in other areas. So maybe that's your quiet times, maybe that's workout, maybe that's eating well. Like, those habits, I feel like kind of snowball. And so if I'm not showing up well with my business, I feel like there's kind of this ripple effect of like all these other things kind of start to go to the wayside. But if I'm prioritizing my business, if I'm prioritizing getting up early with a morning routine and just finding those disciplines, then I'm showing up better and more confident. And so I'd love to hear you guys put in the chat if you see that as well, where there's that correlation. Emily, thanks for sure. I feel like I'm just like totally jumbled, you guys. I'm sorry. Okay, here's a word of encouragement. If things feel hard doesn't mean that it's not for you. And I feel like that is something that carried me through for a while. Just knowing that like, just because this is hard, it doesn't mean that it's not right, or that something else needs to change. So for me, like, I knew if I had stayed comfortable in those seasons of like where I was just in management mode or really just slow, that I was just going to be settling. And I knew like in my time of reflection and prayer, it's like, I knew that the Lord had other families that he's going to lead into abundance because of Plexus and because I continue to show up and like choosing that energy for your business and choosing the disciplines of sending your messages and not avoiding that. I think identifying what you're believing and thinking, I feel like we hear this all the time, but it is really key and critical. And like now currently, as I'm like trying to help and coach other girls on my team, that's something that I really want to know. And so I had someone on my team that was like, well, I just don't know if this really is life changing. And I was like, well, let's define what life changing means to you. And there was, I feel like, a moment of recognizing that just like reaching a jewel level in six figures wasn't what was life changing. None of that was what she had mentioned. It was the community. It was earning a trip for her and her husband. It was um like being able to make an extra payment on her credit card. Like those were the things that were life changing. And so I think recognizing that allows you to shift into the belief of like, wow, we are offering something that can truly impact people's lives. Not necessarily if you make it to six figures, obviously that's going to, but there's so many other layers of being able to really recognize what we're offering people that can impact their life. Another thing, if you're in like that steady or slow season, is recognizing like, is there a willingness issue? And versus like knowing what to do. Because a lot of times we're like, well, what's working? What's not? What am I missing? And I think, at least reflecting on my own journey, a lot of times what is missing is the willingness to show up. Like, I don't want to wake up early. And maybe the word is lazy. Like, I'll just get into a mode of where I'm just complacent. And I think trying to recognize the reasons why, what is missing, because most of us have been here for a really long time. And so there are times where you have woken up excited and energized to find new customers, to coach your teammates, to be present. And so we know what that's like. And so if we're not in that place, then why? Why is that? And so if we can answer that question, I think then we're able to move beyond that and actually show up again, operating from a place of passion and high energy, and not just going through the motions. So then here's just a few, this is the last part of it on just like things to take note of on running your business, would be to make sure that you have ignited a passion and energy again, and falling in love with your Plexus business, seeing what it really is offering again, and that will build your belief. Revisiting that, unlocking your dream again will allow you to have vision, and then going and finding who you're revealing that to so that you can impact their life as well. And I'm a visual person, so like a goal of mine that I set this summer was to find 5 new business builders who I'm casting that vision to. I'm painting that picture for. And so when I have that number in my head for whatever reason, that's like giving me purpose and reason to like go find who's going to fill that spot. And then also another exercise is to picture all the things that Plexus is offering your life and imagine that it's all gone tomorrow. How do you feel about that? What are you missing? And I think that helps you take a recognition and realizing what you have now and having gratitude for that. And then renewing that vision of like why we're here and what we're working for and who are we bringing along with us. So that's what I have. I feel like I was really jumbled, but that was just where I was with reflecting on my past 7 years.
Hey, Hannah.
And I will say I'm in a place of like new vision, new energy, new dreams. And so we have a couple new level 1s that and level 2s, and they're duplicating on their own team. And so we're just like riding a new wave here.
I have a question. So would you say like those things that you just shared of like you identifying your thoughts and you like creating that passion and that belief and that clarity again, like, is that what you did? Or those exercises that you did to kind of get back into like that excitement and that joy and like that prioritizing of your business? Because if you guys don't know, she has helped a new girl, Amy Stringer, who has gone gold very quickly and is well on her way to senior gold. And then she's helping her mother-in-law, which we talked about this on accountability group a couple of weeks ago. And her mother-in-law is, signing lots of people, and she's helping all those people. And so I think for me, I would love to hear, just like what Brianna shared in the chat. I don't know if you saw it, but she just said, like, when our leaders show up with passion, that really like drips down to the team and helps all of us. So I think that I would love to hear, after 7 years, like, I guess, is that what you're saying? Like, that's what you started to do to kind of get back into that joy and passion and energy to get those people started?
Yeah, for sure. Because I think like having Ruby and figuring out a homeschool rhythm, like there are a lot of things in my life that were happening that would help, that would like, I would lose my focus and it would derail me on a plexus business. And so I allowed a lot of that to take my energy and my focus away from a business. And so it's taken different times of purposeful, intentional, like, well, why am I not showing up? Or why am I not feeling motivated? Or like, where was I lacking? And so a lot of it was identifying that I was like, I'm not bringing energy. I'm not protecting my energy. So I'm feeling drained at home. And so then I was like, letting that impact, like feeling drained in my business, even though there was like no direct correlation, but I wasn't allowing myself any space to like go back and dream or set goals or lead my team. So that's okay. You can wipe it up. You guys, she is putting lotion all over her body and it's just happening right now. So anyways, I am like a journaler and I'm reflective. And so I think having to answer that question of like, well, why am I not showing up the same? What is it that I want out of a plexus business? Like we have to attach purpose to what we're doing here. And we have to know where we're going. So we hear about this vision piece all the time, but like, what does that really mean? Well, it's just knowing where you're going, knowing what's going to happen in the next 6 months, in the next year. Like, I think convention point was a big part for me, and like knowing that like I'm going to work to be a diamond by next convention, and identifying in my mind, knowing like, well, what will that require of me? What is that going to take? And so when I come off of a week of feeling like overwhelmed in my home and so much is going on, well, it's like all of a sudden I'm thinking, well, if I'm going to be diamond by next convention, what does that mean I need to do right now? And I think that has really helped frame me to just like get back into action or get back into like sending the follow-ups and sending the messages and making sure I'm posting consistently in the week. And does that answer your question?
I really, really like that. Like kind of like a 3-step, like, okay, what's my goal? What's that going to require of me? And then what do I need to do right now to reach that? I really like that 3-step. That was really good.
Yeah, because I feel like I can get overwhelmed. And I think just know, like I said, we've all been here for a really long time. We know what is required of us. We know what we need to do differently. We know what's standing in our way. And if you don't, you should probably identify those things. But just being able to like shift your task focus, like from wife, mom, your other job, whatever like duties and hats that we have, but being able to just like hop back into like your plexus hat. And what does that look like? What do you need to be doing? What's going to move your business forward? Who can you go help? If you don't have anyone you're helping currently, then what are you doing to go find that next person? So yeah, I think, and Emily, you helped do that this summer where you're like, we need to simplify what we're doing. What is the one thing that you're going to do this summer? And most of us all were saying like, we're going to go develop a gold. And so I really think simplifying and knowing what was happening helped me like eliminate all the mental busyness that we can bring on with being here in this space. So Ruby Joy. So any other questions?
I don't have a question. I think that's great. And I feel like I don't reflect enough on like, I mean, I've like thought about my journey, but just how you broke it down into like, yeah, are you steady or slow or anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Helpful. I need to journal more.
So I could see too, and I don't know if any of you guys resonate with this, but I actually listened to a Marian Anderson training a couple of weeks ago, and it kind of like made me spiral, honestly, to be totally honest. But she was saying like write out what those limiting beliefs are that you have in your brain. Um, and she said, yeah, she said, what are the thoughts that you have that are not serving you? Write those out. Um, and then, you know, kind of like a youth group, like a church youth group thing, like with your sins, like write them out and then like throw them into the fire pit and they're gone. But so I'm like writing out the thoughts that I have that aren't serving me. And she says, like, you cannot outperform those thoughts. And then I was like, oh no, like these are the thoughts I have. How do I get out of that? Because there are some things that are holding me back, some things that cause paralysis. And so in this exercise, Hannah, do you have any recommendations as people are being reflective and as people are like identifying what their beliefs are and what their thoughts are, how to then move forward from those? Like, you know, we know that action cures all. Like we know that. But if there are real things that are paralyzing anybody here that they can't outperform those thoughts right now. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Like, do you have any
Yeah.
recommendations on that?
Well, yeah, I for sure in part of a time where I was like trying to be really reflective and just why am I not showing up like I know that I'm capable of? One of the things that came to mind was like I've had my run. I did all that I'm going to do here, and knowing that okay, that's not true. That's really where I felt like the Lord put on my heart. It was like you would be settling. Like if you are just like writing this out, you are settling and there's more to be done. And so I had to take recognize that and um what did you say? We are not Billy Ray Cyrus. There's more to be done. um so yeah, I think it really you have to know, I think it goes back to like I'd said, the purpose, like why are you working your business? What is this for? What is it doing for your family? What is it going to do for other people that you know? And that's going to be a big driver, and not acting off of like motivation, because motivation comes and goes. Our emotions are all over the place. And so it just all it like really all ties together, because then it's also like you have to know where you're going. Like why are you here? Where are you going with your business? And for that purpose, vision, dream, like all of that.
I don't mean to monopolize the questions, but if you have any other questions, I still have some questions. So please pipe up because I don't want to be the only one asking questions. And Bree has a really great point. Do you want to speak to that at all, Bree?
No, I was just so the questions I guess I keep having is like I want I want to like know like Hannah, do you do this weekly? Is this something you do daily? Is this something you write down all the time? Or maybe you're just thinking about it all the time? And like how, because I do it, but it's typically when I'm prompted by some training I listen to. It's not like, I mean, I think I'm probably doing it unconsciously almost, but I don't know. I'm trying to think of like how to apply this into my life almost. But then my comment in the thread was it'd be really nice to have like a weekly prompt along the lines of belief and your why and um you know, something that we can kind of create vision within our group and excitement and in our group. It was just a thought. And I might be missing these. I know we talk sometimes about goals and things like that, but
Well, I just did some really deep reflecting last spring when I was like just tired of going through the motions. And so I think that helped. So there was like a lot of journaling and like reflection at that point. And then we went to convention, and I think it was in our jewel training where I heard from Amber Miller, like she had almost like a mission statement. And I don't know exactly her like verbiage of it, but what I took away was like, I am bringing other kingdom-minded families into abundance. And that has stuck with me ever since. And I feel like when you have kind of a motto, or you have like, when you know the things that you need to go do to create a gold, or to work like a diamond, or whatever that is for you, like you have to know, so that you can just shift into that space of like, it's time to work, or it's time for me to get focused, or it's time, like, I want to show up now or today or whatever. Like, just have simplified it into like your few things that you know need to be done. And maybe having that motto of like, I'm finding kingdom minded families and bringing them into abundance. And that like helps frame my thoughts that then like lead my actions, instead of all the head trash that we deal with of like, well, I'm just not a great leader, I don't know what it takes. Like, enough of all that negative chatter, like it immediately just takes you into like the right headspace and then the right action.
Hannah,
And
that's
every
beautiful.
month I have goals. So every month I've like set out like what my recruitment goals are, who I'm trying to help go silver, like, and the rest of whatever else that I've jotted down. And those are in my planner. And it's like an open spot that I see anytime my planner is open. I see like who it is I've been chatting with, like potentials, or who my new customers are that I need to be checking in with. I have 4 boxes to check for this month. 0 have been checked. I have 2 carts out and another 2 that I'm talking with. So I'm like, I'm going to check those boxes of who I'm enrolling this month. And like I said, I have a list of people that I would love to help go silver. And so then I'm prompting them, or I'm trying to help them with the next task, or send them a video. So I think it's just, yeah, it's eliminating all the extras, and it's just staying focused on the things that are mattering, and having your statements that like help eliminate all the head trash.
Hannah, with you doing this for 7 years and now kind of having this firm, beautiful mission statement, how are you going and finding those kingdom-minded families, and how are you helping them into abundance?
Well, I don't feel like it's anything different than what we've always done. Amy Stringer, who's my new gold, was someone that I sent a business reach out in the spring. And then the timing worked out where she was looking for something to bring income into for her family. And so then we had a business meeting. Zach and I both went over to their home, and she had her husband there. And it was like a very like question driven, if I pursue this, what does it look like? And so there's nothing special in that. It was like messages were sent at some point, timing was right for them, and then now leading them into just with the right activities to grow her own team. And with my mother-in-law, she is someone who is also just like very connected, and very just lots of different little communities. And so helping her, like she kept telling me like, oh, so-and-so would like to hear Plexus, like to hear more about Plexus. And this person could benefit. And I was like, let's just do something. Let's do an event. And so that really helped formulate, like, it was this really fun party for her girls. And we've had like 8 signups since then. And I'm meeting another lady up for coffee on Thursday about the opportunity. And so it just it's like creating something from nothing, right? Like there's nothing new in that. It's just getting creative, talking about Plexus. You want a handful of conversations happening about Plexus all the time. And so if you're not having those, then how are you going to go create them? Is a big part.
I love that reminder because I do think that so often we'll like go and like try to find new training or like try to do coaching or like just tell me what I need to do. And it's like this is so very basic, but I think we overcomplicate things or we get into our heads or we feel defeated and we tell ourselves, like you said, like we're just not cut out for this. Like I've been doing this for 4 years and I still am at this place or whatever. But I really do think it is the posture that we're showing up and the consistency of what we're doing. Because I think it is very easy to get into management mode. It's very easy to just think, oh, well, I'm missing something. And sure, like there are things that we for sure need to be evaluating and simplifying, like you said, but I really like that you are emphasizing like it's nothing new. Like I'm doing what we're always talking about. Like I'm reaching out to people. I'm inviting people in. I'm hosting some sort of like launch party. Like I'm helping my people. It's not this new crazy thing that none of us know. It's just a matter of us, like you said, finding the right people at the right time and being willing to put in the work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Brianna asked, how do you prepare myself or your potential for those business meetings? Well, I feel like in doing this for 7 years, I feel like it's like sharing my story now. Like there's zero preparation other than this call tonight. I did try to prepare and I still feel like I totally like flubbered through it. But it just becomes like second nature. So, I think things like knowing what this business offers is really important. Knowing and just the opportunity in general, like I touched on earlier, like how to rock your network marketing business, I feel like was really, by what's John Maxwell's book, either of those, where it talks about what does network marketing offer and what are the Power Five. Isn't that what it is? Yeah, Lacey said Power Five. So those touch on so many aspects because I think a lot of times we get caught up on like, if you're a jewel in this company, your life's going to be changed. But when you are speaking to other people and knowing that a $500 payment towards a credit card will help them pay off their credit card by this time next year, that's life changing. When you have someone who can cut their hours part-time from, like I was talking to a nurse who's like, I would love to not have to be full-time. I'm like, okay, well, you can do Plexus and fill that part-time income so that you are not at the bedside full-time anymore. Like, and that's not a 6-figure thing. That is someone who hasn't budgeted for a trip because they haven't had margin, but yet they get to go on a cruise in February. That is going to change their life, at least for the time being right now. Having a community of women without any drama is the best gift in the world. Like there are just so many things that like you got to own, as that is so impactful for a typical person. And knowing that now more than ever, people are always like, how can I make more money? How can I make more money? But I don't want to trade time for money. Like my sister just, who knows how much money she has spent to launch a med spa business, because she knows that she wants a side gig and she knows that they might want to exit plan from the medical world. And yet I feel like there was this missed opportunity here with Plexus all along. And so just like really owning that stuff, like really brilliantly minded people could still benefit from this. Like people who, anyways, I feel like I'm on a tangent, but so knowing that going into a meeting, that's where this all came from. Before you're meeting with a potential about the opportunity, you want to know what it's going to offer this person. And you want to ask questions to identify what it is that you can like hear from them that's lacking. So if someone's like, I have 2 weeks of vacation and it is like running me ragged. that would be a light bulb for me to say, girlfriend, we are going to give you 2 vacations next year. You get to come to Dallas on convention. We're going to go on a cruise. And that would speak to them, like, because that was a need I just picked up on. So you're like asking questions and listening enough to read between the lines. There are people who are not going to be driven by money, but they're going to be driven by helping other people. So when they can hear that, like, you help 18 people this month, those are a lot of lives that are going to change, and they're going to be blessed and so thankful that you shared with them. And what's really cool about it is while you're helping them, you're getting this bonus. And so, yeah, I think just picking up on what people will drop, like, they're not going to flat out say it. They're not going to know exactly. But when you know from our end what Plexus can offer, and you're like picking up on that need, that is like that painting the picture thing that you hear a lot. That is that vision casting that you hear a lot. And so you have to kind of be in tune, not kind of, I think we really do need to be in tune with matching that for people. Brianna, I'm hearing from you, Hannah, is confident, know the business, what it offers, hear their need and why, create vision based on what they're saying, be a good listener. Exactly.
I'm gonna actually do a video over this. I told Abby I would do this 2 months ago. Whoops, we're still here, but that's the exact same question that she had. And there'll be like some tangible things that I put in there too. But I took a screenshot of what you just shared, Brianna, in the chat, but I'll get a list of some of the questions that Hannah likes to ask too. But I think like tangible things, I'm gonna tell in 30 seconds. I have them watch the Jessica Heffley video to cast vision, like her diamond documentary that's only 6 minutes. I have them watch that. And then I have them watch the Marian Anderson 6-minute commissions video. So that way they have vision cast, and now they kind of have an idea of like how they get paid and what's available to them and kind of how that works. And then I bring a printout of the average income so they can just see it, like I give it to them. I also bring them a catalog with a little sample bag, like a goodie bag of some samples, give them the catalog. I have, like Hannah said, asking them questions, hearing a little bit more about them. But those are like some tangible things that I do that I print out and hand to them or have them watch beforehand. So that way they're a little bit educated and have a little bit of hope before we meet. So I'm not having to like tell them everything and they walk away feeling overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
Lace, do you want to wrap this up? This was really, really good.
This was so good. Yeah, hopefully that was helpful with everybody. Hannah, I think you did great. I don't feel like you were scattered all over the place. I think it was really helpful. And I apologize again for the time mix up, you guys. But yeah, hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow night on Accountability Group. And I'm sure if you guys have more questions, just put them in the thread and I'm sure Hannah would answer them. But I hope you guys all have a good night. Good night.